Light mode flashbang. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. Today I'm going to be showing you a hopefully quick software video about memory integrity. So this is a setting in Windows security, whereas probably a lot of you encountered this before. You're setting up a computer that's just been updated from Windows 10 to Windows 11. You might also just encounter this on Windows 10, I think, but I don't care. And you've got your little Windows Defender shield in the bottom right, and it's got actions recommended, exclamation point, etc., etc. So you go in there and you check out, okay, what are you complaining about? Device security. Okay, go to settings. Core isolation is off. Memory integrity is off. Okay, fine, cool. Can we turn this on? Okay, turn on. Sure thing. Checking for driver compatibility. And it goes, there are incompatible drivers. So how do we deal with this? How do we resolve these incompatible drivers? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, it is possible to just dismiss this message, and that will then give you a green OK check mark, and that will just clear the error. You can just ignore this and leave memory integrity turned off. And for the vast majority of people, that's probably fine. However, this is something that might come back to bite you in the ass in the future, because a lot of game anti-cheat software is either starting to look at memory integrity or will be looking at memory integrity in the future. And B, if memory integrity is off because you've got old incompatible drivers, those old incompatible drivers are probably really insecure. And again, most of the time on the average person, this is not going to be significant because the average person is probably just, the threat profile isn't high enough for it to matter. But that's not the point. Best practice is to resolve these issues and make sure that all relevant security features of a computer are turned on. There's no reason not to run them, basically. So that's why we're going to go into this. So, firstly, super quick, what is memory integrity? So hopefully I'm getting this right. The gist of it is that with memory integrity, when a driver wants to run at kernel level, at the kernel level of Windows, so basically the lowest level it can get to, sometimes known as ring 0, instead of actually running in ring 0, it runs in a tiny virtualized space of ring 0. Therefore, if that driver becomes compromised, it doesn't compromise the entire kernel. So essentially what we're doing is virtualizing drivers that are running at kernel mode. So this isolates them from one another, so you can't use one to get to another and stuff like that. Old drivers are often not compatible with this or can't run in this manner. Therefore, you can't run memory integrity at all. So it gets turned off. If anyone's got a better explanation of that, feel free to put it down in the comments so other people can learn more about what this is and what it does. And for the record, I'm not here to discuss whether this stuff is good or bad or a waste of time or not. My interest is that I'm setting up Windows 11 on Joe Public's computer, and my interest is to use the best practice of setting up their computer, which is to turn on any and all available security features that are applicable, including memory integrity. So, I've tried to turn it on. It says it cannot turn it on because there are incompatible drivers. So, what are these incompatible drivers? Luckily, Windows gives us this handy-dandy list. Now, this system has come from an older one. We've got a bunch of Asus drivers here. There's a brother driver there. That's probably printer-related. Huawei, that's some kind of USB modem, maybe. More Huawei stuff. We've got RIM, so that's going to be an old BlackBerry. We've got some Realtek stuff, more Huawei, and we've got a Western Digital driver down there as well. That's probably an external hard drive driver, because some old Western Digital external hard drives had like a little widget on them that showed how full the drive was in an LED bar chart, and that required a software driver on the computer to report and tell it how full it was. Things like that. And like you can see here, this one says pre-win8.sys. So this driver is ancient. If we get some more details on that, there you go. The driver date is 2017. Okay, that's not really pre-Windows 8, but either way, these drivers are old. You get the point. So how do we uninstall these drivers? So sometimes you can get rid of these just by removing software. Sometimes drivers will be under the apps, installed apps, and you can just uninstall the app associated with it. But a lot of these drivers here, there are no apps on the installed apps to uninstall. And that's why this gets tricky. This is where you hit a hump. So in order to deal with this, what we do is we're going to go to Device Manager. So I'll right click on the Start menu and go Device Manager. And now what we want to do is we want to sort devices by driver. So instead of showing us what kind of devices are here and what devices are currently connected to the computer, we're going to list what drivers are loaded on the computer. So this gives us this hot mess of a menu here. But the most important thing is this reveals to us all of these third-party and OEM drivers that are here. So let's start with this one at the top, Asus Tech. So this is list published name OEM15.inf. So let's find OEM15 on this list. So there we go. There's OEM15 there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this and remove driver. Uninstall this driver from any devices that currently use it. Sure thing. Cool, that's that. And so what I'll do is I'll just refresh this and we'll just see if this top one, ASIO64, disappears. So let's go back and let's scan again. Review incompatible drivers. And there we go, that top one has disappeared. We've got another Asus Tech one here, that's OEM41, but that top one has disappeared. So now we just have to rinse and repeat for everything on this list. And that's basically it. So I'm going to go down and just go through all of these now. So next we need OEM41. OEM41, remove driver. Then we've got this brother one. So this could be an old printer driver. So we do have to consider the fact that if we remove some of these, we might uninstall some actual devices. However, if those devices are installed using ancient drivers, there's almost certainly newer drivers available that can be reinstalled. So I am going to go through and destructively uninstall this stuff. If this causes a device to get uninstalled, so be it. We'll just install it again with a newer driver. So OEM25. And you can see here, this one is BR something, that's brother something or other. So even though this name here, this BRPOI10i.inf, this doesn't match up with what we're seeing here. However, because it's this OEM25.inf, that's what connects these two things together. This is why these are such a pain in the ass to get rid of normally, because if you go looking in the drivers folder, you won't find brusb-sib.sys. This is the one that we actually need to remove. All right, OEM24, 44, 23, 11, 54, 46, 57, 52, and 20. There we go. Right, so now let's go back and let's scan again. All right, there we go. And now it's prompting me to reboot the computer, so I'll restart. And one reboot later, and as you can see, device security now has a green check mark, and core isolation is now turned on. There we go. So I hope you guys found that useful. I want to make more videos like this where I just show you how to solve some of these really annoying to solve problems. Because, yeah, I don't know. I just want to share information. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye.